Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy, with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well. Another collab today, a wicked one, with my old mate, George. We used to collab quite a lot back in the day. I speak to him quite a lot on socials, over WhatsApp and Instagram and whatnot, and trying to chase him down for a collab over this international break like I've been doing with the other boys. We cover lots of stuff. It's fun, it's funny. We speak about the manager, the players. We speak about like the ownership as well. Speaking about how like dissatisfied we've been, how miserable I was around the Brighton losses. And we also spoke about some good players and, basically what would make us better. A Galactico sort of striker, a sort of high profile striker with a little bit of, dare I say, aura around him. Big thanks to George for coming on. I'm going to link his second channel in the description because he is doing lots of work on there as well, and he's growing that at the moment. In the meantime, I'll thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting Football Therapy by liking and subscribing. And thanks to George again, and let's get into it now. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, by popular demand, as always. I'm here with my old mate, George Benson, to talk about our beloved football club residing in turbulent yet potentially hopeful times. He's out in Thailand at the moment. You might have known that. So yeah, how are you doing, bro? Welcome. And how's it going?
I'm doing good. It's been years actually since we've done one of these, hasn't it? I swear it used to be like a semi-regular thing, and then like we just haven't. But like contrary to a lot of popular,
you've been gallivanting around, mate. It's hard to pin you down.
It's true. But do you want to know something really funny? Like, the YouTube scene in general just constantly believes that if someone hasn't filmed with someone for like over a 6-month period or a year period, they must be having a big fight. Something crazy must have happened behind the scenes. I can assure you nothing happened with Yaroslav. It never has and it never will.
No, quite.
I don't think.
It's probably more my fault than yours, actually, because I've just been so terrible with the collabs with everyone. I've even got, message. I just sort of went off the boil a little bit. But I've just tried to do a few over the international break. Just something a bit different, touch base with the boys, see what's
This is a long break too, bro. Like, that gap is probably one of the biggest international break gaps between, like, last fixture and the next one. Like, I can remember. I don't know a longer one than this for a long time. It feels like we've had, like, an elongated summer holiday, but without the transfer news that at least keeps us entertained.
Yeah, quite exactly that, bro. Because it's not. I mean, well, apart from Chelsea oddly doing transfers out of the transfer window, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's also because we're at the FA Cup, isn't it? Because the FA Cup game has come first. Yeah. Probably you could argue comes at a good time because we've been sort of massively off the boil, isn't it? So maybe there could be some soul searching. So let's talk some Chelsea then. We still could have a good season. Like, firstly, if we finish top 5 and win the conference, and you get that image of Reece James wearing the captain's armband, lifting his first trophy as Chelsea captain, would that leave you with warm fuzzies? Would you see that as a success? And
warm fuzzies. Yeah, I'd be satisfied with that. Like, I think. Yeah.
I mean, the warm fuzzies is more Reece James lifting a trophy as Chelsea captain. But yeah, would you be satisfied? That's the question.
That would be nice. I would say that. That is warm fuzzy worthy. But I think predominantly that was always a minimum this season. I'm still not quite over the fact that we're out the cups, particularly the way that we played in those cup games. I think we were just really poor. Almost didn't care about it. And I feel as though we've just basically given both of those opportunities away. And I would have rather have won the Carabao Cup all day long than the Conference League, although it would be nice to just complete it. That's just the way I see it. Yeah. So for me, obviously, top 5, the fact we're in that position now means that if we give it away for anything less than that from here is a disaster, in my opinion, like a serious disaster. But I think it would be good to discuss with you, actually, because like, we've had a break now, and I think the trajectory up until that last game was very much like it couldn't really have ended on any more of a flat note. It was a dead performance against Arsenal. If it would have been 6-0, I think I'd have been just as annoyed. And that's kind of how the first week I was just like, well, it might have even been better if we got whacked off the pitch. You know what I mean? Because at least then it would, like, we'd have to do something about it. Yeah. But I just, at the moment, I think I'm most frustrated about the fact that it's being normalized that we can be that shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know any fan who I've not seen any opinion on any platform that has suggested that they were even remotely content with that Arsenal performance. You know what I mean? And we're getting plugged in the app saying that Maresca thinks it was all right. I was like, no, it's not, mate. Like, there was nothing okay about that.
Yeah, and that was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. Like, because Arsenal, the thing is, Arsenal was so terrible, but they knew they didn't have to be anything better than terrible to beat us. That's probably the worst thing about it. And with regards to the cups, the two, I've been really sort of firm on the channel that those two away Brighton losses, including the cup elimination, just left me absolutely crestfallen. That was like my darkest, I think it's in years. Because even with like,
I agree.
But even with Potter and like all this, the mentalness, I kind of was like, right, well, this is just mental, and loads of players in and out, and this is going to lessen that. I was like, whatever, this is like the Mourinho season again. But the Brighton losses felt like far too normalised. That was like, oh god,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, that was my lowest point in years, and I sort of kept regurgitating that statement. Interesting that you're so big on the League Cup over the Conference. I guess because we haven't won the League Cup in literally a decade, which is massive. But I don't want to be in the Conference League again. But I do really like the idea of winning it. I do like the idea of winning it because it's the final trophy. I know it's lame, but we'll be the only club in world football that's won every trophy. And then also, I just feel like because I know it's an unsexy thing to talk about, but because we're such a young squad, winning breeds confidence, and travelling around Europe and beating different teams and different styles, I just think it'll be really good. And obviously you both qualify for the same, you qualify for the conference if you win the League Cup. You qualify for the Europa League if you win the conference. So the conference actually gets you a better competition. I'd probably say I'd prefer the conference in terms of what it would mean to these young players travelling around playing different cultures. But I know not as good quality, but I think it would probably represent a benefit to this current squad.
But do you think that the players that are playing in the Conference League games, to me, it kind of looks a bit embarrassing. Like, I feel like they're looking at it and thinking, what are we doing here? Do you know what I mean? And I can get that vibe when I'm watching those games. I know that we obviously played the one in Astana that was like minus 758 degrees or whatever it was. Like, that looked atrocious.
Noah as well, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I can't get excited about it when it doesn't look like the players are even excited about it. I think that's kind of like the hardest gap to bridge right now for me is like, I feel like if we don't get top 5, I'm angry. Mm-hmm. And if we don't win the Conference League, I don't think I can be angry, but I will certainly be embarrassed.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's how I feel.
Because it will be like when Chelsea have won multiple European Cups. They won't look at the Conference League losses, this big stain on them in terms of, apart from being embarrassing, they won't be like, the one that got away necessarily. But I know what you mean. These like teams, but I do wonder meeting Fiorentina in the final or Real Betis. A few weeks ago, I saw only Barcelona of better form than Betis in La Liga since people say since Anthony signed. But it's not just Anthony. It's like all the other January signings they made that made him a lot better. In a final, European final, they'll be happy. They'll try hard and they'll win. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be like it's going to be a good thing. So I'm going to in a bit ask you about players.
Okay.
But let's spend a little bit of time on the manager now. Something that you said already, and I agree with totally. He's come out with some real wet nonsense, which is frustrating because a lot of the stuff he came out with I really liked, and I was like, I felt like I loved a lot about Pochettino, but for me, he never felt like a Chelsea manager. I said to the other guys, like, the defensive record is the most un-Chelsea thing of the lot, I think. I mean, I was proud of myself as a Chelsea fan of being tough and hard to beat and getting bent over and conceding record amounts of goals and, 5-0 to Arsenal. That's the most un-Chelsea thing for me. I think he was smart not to try and connect with the fans because until he wasn't Mr. Tottenham, he was. Do you know what I mean? And now he's obviously talking about wanting to go out to Tottenham. I just think it was like a marriage of convenience, and it was never going to be a proper Chelsea manager, in my opinion.
No.
Maresca comes. He remains an unknown quantity, really, and he just doesn't take any shit. The way he talks, the way he didn't get excited when we were doing well, the way he was really brutal. I do think a lot of the sporting directors are, in some ways, are puppeteering him, and he's acting like it's his decision. But in some ways, some stuff I don't think he is. And I quite liked, I thought like, yes, another Italian manager at Chelsea. He's bald like Vialli. He's a little bit like, I was just thinking, yeah, I could probably see this working. I'd like it to work with him. And obviously it started so well. Well, what are your general thoughts, bearing in mind also a little bit of inexperience, scope for progression as a coach himself, problems of injuries, or is there some stuff that you don't like and you can't get over? What are your thoughts?
I think I really liked him at first. I did. And I still do, weirdly. Like a lot of, like, if I was to bump into someone on the street and they're like, oh, do you think Maresca's good enough to manage Chelsea? I'd be like, probably not right now, mate. But ask me again in 2 years when he's either been sacked or like we're actually good again. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll keep walking and I'll be like, I don't want to talk about this right now. But I think what pissed me off the most is when we were actually doing good, he played it down. And then from that point on, we have been shit. And that's just kind of been... And all of it has seemed normal. And that, for me, is a huge problem. Because every manager that we've ever had that's ever won us anything serious has installed this, like, we're the flipping best. And if we're not the best this week, we're going to be the best for the next 10 because we weren't the best on that one. Yeah. And the fact that when we were actually one of the best teams in the league, playing some of the best football in the league, all we seemed to hear was, oh no, it's okay, don't worry about it. We shouldn't be here. Don't worry about it, guys. Like we're not a Champions League team. I'm like, what are you on about? Yeah. How can you come out and say all of that? And then now in the same breath, we're seeing such abject, energyless, like almost like void of trying, it looks like at points. Yeah. And I'm not saying the players aren't trying, but it looks like it. It comes across that way. Yeah. And now that is normal. So I'm like, and again, this is a pure conspiracy theory, all right? But this is a hypothesis that makes sense based on the mentality issue that I believe is there right now.
Go on.
Could the fact that we started the season so well purely be because we ended it so well last year under Pochettino? And now that Maresca's kind of got his teeth into things and we're seeing this, like, put you to sleep football, maybe that is, like, the product of what he is. So as much as I'm more than happy to praise what was a really good start... Yeah. He's now got 9 games to like we went to Spurs and had a shit start because Cucurella didn't turn up for the only game this season that he didn't show up in. So we blew Spurs away that night. We were amazing. So if we see Chelsea at home to Tottenham play anything like we have done recently, I really do think this is on him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, innit? Yeah, I keep saying like the next.
It's too early to say. He's rubbish, get rid of him, because there's certainly bigger problems at our football club than Maresca right now. But he certainly doesn't help anything.
I want to pick you up on a few things there as well. I'm mindful, like, I've spoken over. If I'm speaking over you, just tell me to do one.
Okay.
I used to have a podcast years ago, but my like skills as like a host or is not as good as it used to be. Yeah, man, it's so many interesting things. Like, the next couple of games will almost tell you if we're going to do it or not, after this break. There's a few things I want to pick up on there. Because you've covered a lot. So first of all, like, I wonder if he could go back and do it again. Like, not the football, but what he said, if he'd do it differently. Because he obviously was briefed on stop saying we're not trying to get top 4. And suddenly he's like... He's very much changed his tune. Oh, we're trying to get top 4. Chelsea belong in the Champions League. He stopped there because even Pochettino did that. This is not the Chelsea of old. This is not. He kept saying this is not Chelsea. That stop assuming that, which we obviously hated hearing. There was a little bit of that, and he was like, top 4 isn't the plan. But then he suddenly changed his tune completely and started saying, well, yeah, top 4 is the plan. We got to get there. This is He's obviously someone got on his ear and went, stop being negative, mate. Do you know what I mean? The fans aren't liking this. I wonder, like you say. I do understand why he was like, we're not on a title race, shut up. And there is an element of him seeing stuff that he doesn't like, and it'd be... Maybe he could have just been like, look, why not dream? But there's so much we need to improve. He could have done a middle ground, do you know what I mean? Rather than just saying, we're not on a title race. We could have been like, look, we're the youngest team in the league, and I'm not happy entirely here. But, yeah, I just wonder if he could do some... Because he's still new to all this. If he could do it again, he would do it differently. But I totally agree. And also... it's almost like neuro-linguistic programming. You get, like, primed to believe what's being said about you, especially young, impressionable players that don't have this experience. And that talk married with the lack of winning experience in the dressing room, I keep saying to the guys on the other collabs, we've sort of like sterilized the winning DNA where it can't. I use the example of like Azpilicueta, Hazard, Kante being like the DNA carriers of the winners from the golden generation, but we've just wiped that all clean. New kids, talented kids, and if they don't learn to become winners, they'll learn to become losers. And that's not Chelsea, right? So that's what I'm saying about like even the Conference League winning breeds. You know what I mean? So that is interesting, all that stuff. I totally agree. I wonder if he could go do it again, if he'd say things differently. And in regards to the football, I was saying I went to the cup final when we lost to Man City under Maurizio Sarri. We were at Wembley at a cup final. I was queuing up to get in, and Chelsea fans were chanting "F Sarri ball." How about to go into a cup final? I mean, I wasn't doing that, but there was Chelsea fans don't like that sterile passing football. And if that is, we were playing exciting transitional football, and he said, I don't really like this. But ultimately, he's got to learn what works, and he will be judged. No matter what everyone says, he will be judged on results. We do eventually need to win. Whatever your opinion is on management, sporting hierarchy, ownership, they will all agree that for their model to be truly successful, Chelsea will need to be a Champions League club. That is just the remit, essentially. So we'll see what happens there. I think we both agree. We'll see what it's so up in the air, isn't it? It started well. There's good elements. There's bad elements. We'll sort of see, right? So I think we're probably aligned on that. I do want to speak about some players because we're not doing a really, really long show today. We'll do probably a sort of half-length show in terms of podcast. Football players, yeah. We've got good ones that we own coming back to us. Georgi Petrovic, Andre Santos, youngsters joining, Esteval and Paez. Of course, the new kid, I think it's pronounced Kenda, not Quenda. He'll come the following season. Penders as well. People are talking about Penders being the second coming of...
The best goalie in the world.
Yeah, I'm really reluctant to say second coming of Courtois, because I think Courtois in form is the best goalkeeper in the world, but I also think he's...
I agree.
Not. Yeah, but that Real Madrid final performance a couple of years ago, that was historic. And he obviously stopped Liverpool from winning it, so he sort of earned some kudos back in my books. We got good players coming back. What do you think? I'm going to let you have the floor now. Positions we need... And then maybe we could talk about potential players coming in. So, I mean, it might be quite obvious, but just talk about what you see missing in this team right now.
I believe that, first of all, instead of just talking signings, I just want to see consistently, if it's possible, Lavia, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez to be on the pitch at the same time. That's when we played our best football this season. We actually... looked really flipping good at that point. I don't want to just come across as a flipping negative Nancy for everything, because as much as Chelsea fans from outside of Chelsea fans, we all look like idiots for wanting to sign more players. But if you supported the club as well and see that we've actually bought some good ones, but some really stupid ones too, then you would say the same thing. So I think for me, I just want to see that happen. Because I genuinely believe that as a result of that happening, we're going to win loads more football matches and we actually might end the season well. Yeah. I've just got this weird feeling, and it's been building for the last 2 or 3 days. I think Jackson's going to absolutely kill it for the rest of the season. I don't know why. I just do believe it. And that might be I'm bored of internationals already, and it's been 2 weeks without Chelsea, and I'm just come on, try it, Benson. Look at the camera and be positive. Be dreaming again. It's hard. It's flipping hard. But I do think Jackson will make a big impact when he comes back in. But we still desperately need to sign a striker. Whether that happens or not, I don't want it to be that Jackson... how many games have we got left? 9. Let's say Jackson gets 9 goals in 9 games, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean,
that doesn't mean we don't sign a top striker this summer.
Yeah.
It does not mean that.
Him killing it, I totally agree, so important. I just think him killing it is scoring a few goals, just being back in the team because he makes us tick way better, and making Bay play good again and Cole Palmer. That is killing it for me, do you know what I mean? But goals...
But think about it. We actually were killing it earlier this season. And as much as recency bias obviously plays a big part in football, and a season is won or lost over 38 games. If Chelsea do get top 4 or 5, a lot of praise will have to go on Nicholas Jackson, Cole Palmer, and those guys that were absolutely killing it until we had a very windy, cold day at Goodison Park, and then we all decided to get sick for 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what... That's what happened.
Would you add Fofana to that? Because like statistically, I think we're a lot better when he was been playing.
Yeah, I think we've only lost 2 games that Wesley Fofana's been involved in this season.
So when you're talking about Lavia continuation, you could say Fofana, Jackson, get them man back in there. You'd be more hopeful.
Yeah, and I think a lot of you say the word hopeful. I'm not convinced that it's going to be that simple. I don't actually think Jackson's going to get 9 in 9. By the way, I'm just hypothetically saying for the sake of like Chelsea do need a flipping striker, whether this guy starts smashing it or not. And I think obviously if we get Champions League football next season, then. This is why it should have been a longer podcast episode. But like, if you get Champions League football, you can go and buy a really good top striker. You can, because they'll come. Yeah. But will we do that? I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
But that's a whole another ball game. And I've got time. Mate.
Well, let me make it. Okay, so let me ask you as well before we talk about maybe a couple of just players. Yeah.
Okay.
Club World Cup is a part of the season. We're reliably informed. You get a lot of money from it. It's great. Like, I'm actually quite excited for it. I quite like the Club World Cup before. You know, it was like disruptive.
It's just cool, isn't it?
It's cool because it's the South American. You get these iconic South American teams, and for them, that's the Champions League final. They win their like relevant. Sure. Thing, but then they get to play the Champions League. So for them, it means so much. Amazing football cultures, fan base, and it's a rare opportunity for it to collide. So I dig it. Yeah. I just wonder, like, obviously, classic. There's too much football. Players are overcooked. Negative connotations. It's just FIFA wanting the UEFA Champions League money and eyes. All the cynical stuff. Yada yada yada. Take it, accept it. But in terms of a summer tournament in America, play. Obviously, Esteval will be playing for Palmeiras still, but we might see Pires, we might see Penders play a few games, and he's good. Actually, that could influence our, thoughts, plans. But even if we don't win it, if we like play well in it, Palmer scores a couple of goals against Real Madrid, and we beat Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean? It's an opportunity to just feel like some like energy, some like, and like you said, we'll talk about attracting players. Like, apparently we're going to try and get most of our business done before the Club World Cup or abouts before, hence this recent sporting business and stuff. But like it's something like, should I go to Chelsea? Should I go to PSG? Oh, freaking out! Chelsea are like, doing nice stuff against Real Madrid. Like, it looks like they've sorted out that problem there. That Guido Sanchez is no longer in goal. All that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like it could be like a catalyst, because like, if you don't do well in it, people might be like, whatever, pre-season tournament. But like I said, if you do well in it, the trophy looks wicked. I know it's not conventional, but I am totally sold on it.
I think the trophy looks super flipping cool. I'm not gonna lie.
So do I, man. I know it's not like big as, but it looks wicked. Yeah.
But also, I think the fact you can win so much money. And like, if we are going down with the narrative of they care about making money, like the Chelsea owners, this money, that's a hell of a lot of flipping money. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like the preseason tour is obviously like, I mean, I went out there and followed it, and it's not easy. Like, especially if you're a player. Like, for me, driving around in a Mustang was lovely, but it was like, if you're a player, you're going from one time zone to another time zone, and you're playing football. And I know obviously the intensity of it isn't the same, but like, this is, I think, actually great for Chelsea, because I just think there needs to be, especially the fact that I'd say this is a tough one, because I'd say we've taken our foot off the gas during the season this season. So I don't necessarily think we should be burnt out. And when you sign young players, I'm 30 now, right? And you ask me to run around a football pitch, even as an amateur. That's being kind. A beginner, all right? Beginner footballer. I can't do it the way that I could when I was 20, right? So these youngsters, right, should be relishing the opportunity to not go away and have a little bender in south of France on the Riviera, or have a few bottles in Dubai or whatever. These lot are going to be staying prime and prepped and ready to go there and win $125 million. Like, that is so much money. That's the biggest prize fund, I think, in football for a 7-game format tournament in the history of the sport. It's insane.
Wild. It's wild.
So I think these players should be more than up for this. And I think, why not? Because, like you say, there could be... I don't think we know until we see it happen, because we've never seen this format before. But how serious is everyone going to... Real Madrid will be like, well, we're Real Madrid, we're the best, we got to win. You know what I mean? But how is everyone else going to take it? I think Real Madrid just won't want to not be the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But everyone else, I'm like, is this going to be for real or not? It feels like it could go wrong.
Yeah, like, is Pep gonna care, or is he gonna be like, no, like, you know?
It reminds me of that. What was that festival that didn't happen in the Caribbean? Do you remember?
Fire Festival.
It could. I feel like it could be the Fire Festival. This Club World Cup.
It's certainly intriguing. Okay, actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind asking you about owners, because I know you've been quite vocal on the owners, and a lot of people have. And to be honest, if they went today, I wouldn't cry for them at all as individuals. But I do hear a lot of people talking about them. And rightly criticising them, and I very much endorse the protest outside Stamford Bridge, and I think it's so important people protest, and as soon as we become apathetic as football fans generally, it's a big problem for all fans. So I massively endorse it. I do worry though, right? Because the alternatives out there, I was thinking about that. I was actually laying in bed last night thinking about this. This is the kind of shit I go to bed thinking about football stuff. But I was thinking, if, for example, Clearlake and Bowley were just like, you know what, this isn't as fun as we thought it would be. This is tough.
Imagine if that's what they wake up like that. You know what? It's not good, is it? It's not fun.
I'm out. And they sell, right? There was a few things I was considering, because we won't get a state ownership. It won't be Saudis own Newcastle, and actually the owners and directors tests have sort of almost retrospectively now, people said they shouldn't have been able to buy Newcastle, right? Abu Dhabi got Man City, Qatar are all in on actually a very exciting PSG project now. It won't be state ownership. It would be a different American consortium that Chelsea gets sold to. And it will be a different American consortium that Chelsea gets sold to for the highest bidder, right? So when Chelsea was sold as a seized asset from Roman Abramovich by Rainbank, we were sold not but to the highest bidder, and under certain conditions. Like, the women's team needs to be well funded, which it is, and it's doing brilliantly. The academy needs to be well funded. The foundation needs to keep going. The charity stuff. The stadium, you need to, basically nail your colours to the mast to make Stamford Bridge better, etc. None of that stuff will happen if Chelsea gets sold again. It will just be who's the highest bidder, and it will be just some American consortium that pays the most. That really worries me. I think it would be the Ricketts family who come back in. Ineos, of course, have now bought Man United. Of course, Ratcliffe was very interested in Chelsea. Do you not fear stuff like that? Like, if you know,
I do, but then I also think it's like when it's clearly not going so well immediately, obviously the first thing you think about is change, right? It's the same with the manager. Like, if Maresca loses every game between now and the end of the season, no one's going to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm happy that he's taken us to a Club World Cup. You want the manager gone. So I think for me, like, it was almost an overnight thing, actually. I went from being like, all right, I'm kind of excited. There's transfer news every flipping day. We sign in everybody. They're going to come good, right? And then I'm looking at what was going wrong. And then I'm looking at some of the things that is happening, like the Vivid Seats thing. I think is an absolute disgrace, and I'm happy that Chelsea Supportive Trust have now escalated this further, and people are finally talking about it, which is good. But I think the problem is, right, and this is true, and I think a lot of people don't, and I've not actually spoken about this. I don't actually know what I would want to happen if the ownership were to leave.
Yeah.
But I'm not happy with what they're doing to Chelsea Football Club. I'm not happy with the position that we're in. But then also, like, flipping heck, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be sending.
A lot worse.
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
But also, like, I am a fan first and foremost. I'm not a business advisor. I don't know about how to manage accounts. I don't know any of these things. But I do care about how we do.
We want to win,
and
we want to win, and we want to have. I think Tottenham protest, the Man United protest. So many things are aligned with tickets, like you say. The Vivid tickets thing is a disgrace, but just ticket pricing in general, the disregard to fans. There's like a unison across big clubs at the moment, and that's why I was very, very firm on endorsing the protest. Chelsea fans are great with that. With obviously the Super League was an iconic moment with the Chelsea fans outside Stamford Bridge. And as soon as you become apathetic and accepting they've won, and I don't mean our owners, I mean like the owners at large. Do you know what I mean? The industry of ownership,
Yes.
and football ownership. And I think, yes, we shouldn't accept mediocrity, and Chelsea can't. Chelsea as an entity to be what it is, the sort of pride of London, the European Cup winners, we need to demand excellence, and that is something that continued. My only thing is I was sort of trying to be philosophical about this because there's a lot of angry Chelsea fans that just want Roman Abramovich, which won't.
I mean, I do as well.
Yeah. But like, whether it's him, we won't get. But it's not just because we won't get another, billionaire oligarch who just wants a plaything to spend loads of money on football, and we literally won the lottery as Chelsea fans. Like, literally, no one has had it like us. Because you could say Abu Dhabi with Man City, but they're being heavily investigated. So the landscape's changed as well. So even if another Roman Abramovich spawned and wanted to do the same thing as Roman did in 2004, he wouldn't be able to do it, essentially. It's untenable. The best you could do is another Roman Abramovich that couldn't operate the same way, but is happy to just burn money and throw it away because he wants Chelsea to win. It won't happen. So we immediately need to understand that that's gone. And as sad as that is, you'll just be hurting 10 years down the road if you still think that's coming back. But what can come back is Chelsea being a powerhouse. Look at Liverpool about to win the league, owned by FSG. Arsenal are consistently good again. I know they're not winning, but again, these sort of American owners. I don't give a ruddy sod about American owners. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want my club to be like a vessel for like a sports washing project, like a geopolitical thing, because it's just too important to me, my football club, to have that happen to it. But I do think the Chelsea can be good with this kind of, because we've got this is what it's always going to be. I mean, it's literally going to be that, or it's going to be Jim Ratcliffe in Ineos. And to be honest, he's not looking that great right now over at Man United. Do you know what I mean? We nearly got him. It was going to be him, but he just didn't know what he was talking about towards the end. It was nearly the Ricketts family. They were the joint preferred. They were nearly preferred bidder with Todd Bodie's consortium, but I mean, they're like some horrible, bigoted Republican family. I'm terrified of them personally. I just feel like it's demand excellence, demand brilliance, demand success. But to demand change without a solution, I think is quite frightening. And I think the biggest thing for me is we were so blessed to have Roman and the way he worked and operated. We were blessed to have such a situation where he eliminated the debt. We were blessed to have a scenario where we were not sold to the highest bidder, where we were sold to the preferred bidder who would say, promise to do all these things to the club in the next 10 years. I'm just terrified if they decide to just sell and go, that they obviously why would they do any of that stuff? They don't, because the government were protecting Chelsea, Roman was protecting Chelsea. They won't give us so-and-so about protecting Chelsea. They will literally sell to the highest bidder, say, do whatever the bloody hell you want with it, asset strip it, take dividends all the time like the Glazers. I think I'm terrified of that, personally.
Yeah, I do think, though, that they probably didn't anticipate anything close to how difficult it's been.
100%.
But then in the process of that, we are now however many windows into their tenure, right? So as a result of all of this, football is a results-based business, and I don't know anybody who doesn't believe that Chelsea need experienced players in the team. Yeah. I think the biggest failure, which is the thing that I think is unforgivable, is the fact that you can tear up something that is a winning formula in football terms. Yeah, maybe the books weren't great. Yeah, okay, whatever. But we didn't have 115 charges that we're somehow going to get away with, like Man City, dirty, disgusting, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, every other person in the world can see on a footballing level what needs to happen here. And if they want to have people buying into what they're doing, you've got to sprinkle the right things in there. And also stop supporting sporting directors who are fundamentally wasting their money as well, the club's money. How?
I totally agree. I think
how are these guys getting away with this still? How have they got another window coming up with the public backing? And you expect to not have Chelsea fans on your back as a result of that?
I'm very mindful to sort of assert I'm not defending these guys. I'm just sort of more trying to think a step ahead and fearful for what could be worse. And like I said to you earlier in the show, that those 2 Brighton games is the most I can't remember being that miserable as a Chelsea fan. Like I try and be positive, but I was just like, guys, I'm crestfallen. Like, this is so shit, basically.
But that's the problem. Is that is correct. That's the right feeling. I think everybody felt the same. It's pure apathy. And there wasn't time to be angry. It wasn't even
apathy. I was because apathy is a neutral. I was miserable. Do you know what I mean? I was like so bummed out. I was like, I wasn't like whatever. I was just so crestfallen for those 2 games because I was like, I looked at what we had and I was like, right, this is just shit, man. But I tell you what, let's. I think we're generally aligned on the same. Like we need to win. Essentially, we need to be good. No matter who owns Chelsea, Chelsea fans won't, and hopefully will never accept mediocrity. Yeah, I think that's all Chelsea fans will align on that. Ones that are being a bit more assertive, ones that want the owners and directors no matter what. Ones who are trying to sort of stomach it and see it through. No Chelsea fan wants mediocre, to be bad. Essentially, the Arsenalification, as they used to call them, the Chelsea podcast back in the day.
Arsenalification.
Yeah, when you just sort of like accept, being like this kind of team. There's a couple of things I did like them doing, that I've wanted Roman to do. The mercenary model didn't work as much anymore. Man United the last 10 years demonstrates that. I did quite like the incentivized contracts for a few reasons. I do think it should be broken in a few examples. And
few cases, yes.
Yeah, a few cases. And also, but ones that the young players can accept. Osimhen's a fucking badass. He's going to get
100%.
paid more. He's an African icon. He's won the Scudetto. He's won African best players. You can deal with that, kids. I'd see them struggling, saying we've just brought in Nico Williams and we're paying him his 300k a week. You're going to have like wingers.
Or Jadon Sancho, for example.
Sure, but I mean the idea is that Jadon Sancho halves his wages apparently if he stays at Chelsea or whatever. But that's it's all by the by.
That's an idea, though, isn't it? That's all it is at the minute. Like he's not agreed to anything, so.
No. Well, exactly. Yeah. So I do totally agree on experience. I keep using that example of like making a pizza dough. You got to leave some experience in it, will spread, teach them to be winners. Ultimately, my biggest concern is if you don't learn to be winners, you learn to be losers. It's just simple as that, and that's not Chelsea. So we've covered a lot. Let's just quickly talk about, let's end on strikers, right? Because you talk about big, sexy dopamine hits from transfers. There's nothing more tingly than a striker. I think we're both aligned on Jackson. He's great. He cost us, 29 million quid. He's a great signing. He's deceptively fast. He can play on the flanks. He's a good link man. He underperforms his XG, but if he sorts that out, he'll be an absolute, dare I say superstar in a few years, because to get a high XG means you're doing a lot right. Underperforming is frustrating, but I think we both like Jackson. Yeah, like
I do. I just don't like how he's either really hot or freezing cold. That's just not sustainable for a team that of Chelsea's stature that should be challenging for honours. You can't have your striker 100%. Go missing for months on end.
But do you think when he's not scoring, we didn't see, as just football fans, actually some of the stuff that made him actually make the team better, because in his absence, 100%. I feel like, so there is a bit of that as well. All right, so let's talk about strikers, okay? I'm going to tell you my preferred strikers, right? And then you can move them around, tell me what you think and stuff.
Okay.
I think regardless, we just needed number 9. We looked at, everyone laughed when they were looking at John Duran and Samu Omoradion, and then since then it looked like both would be pretty freaking smart signings, especially for the money we were looking at. But they clearly want a 9, like a proper striker.
Yeah.
You can make an argument, Jackson, even though he plays that role well, he's not been a 9 until the last couple of years. And Nkunku, I'm not going to waste airtime. Our valuable airtime chatting about Nkunku as a striker, great footballer, not a good fit. So we need a 9. I think we should throw the bag at it personally. If we could just buy anyone, I'd pick Alexander Isak. I think he's the best he's just an amazing footballer. I say this before I say it again. I'm not saying he's as good as either of these players, right? Disclaimer, right? But I think he's got a touch of Thierry Henry and Didier Drogba. He's got like a little bit because he's got the sort of glide of Thierry Henry and the operate out wide, and then he can just literally hold the ball up, turn and bang like Drogba, and he can score against Arsenal, which is lovely. So I'd go Isak, and then I'd go Victor Osimhen, because for me he just feels like a Chelsea striker. He's just that sort of icon, the African icon. He's got the swagger, the confidence, the arrogance. We need that. He's a proper number 9, and he's just. I think he can be a bit of a dickhead as well, which I really like, and we need desperately. And then I'd say like maybe like a Victor Gyökeres, but for some reason like he's such a gunman. But he doesn't feel that Chelsea. I'm not saying he's giving me Morata vibes.
I agree with everything you've said so far, by the way. Just good. So far, we're not moving anything around. And I agree with that last point too.
Good. Because there is something that obviously if he signs, you'd be like, wow, what a sort of proven finisher. This can only be exciting. But there's something about Gyökeres that I just doesn't feel that Chelsea to me. I'm not saying I don't want to sign him. If we sign him, I'll be very happy. But like. That's just Osimhen feels Chelsea to me, and then let's just say there's others out there, but out of ones we've been linked with. I mean, we haven't been linked with Isak really. I'm just that was a dream signing, I'd take. Then there's Liam Delap, and then there's Benjamin Sesko for me. I'd take Delap over Sesko pretty much every day. Yeah, every day of the week. I feel like Delap is when we lost 2-0 to Ipswich, which is trauma, let's not tread that ground, I think he slapped the crap out of us like a Diego Costa did. Obviously, he under 23 level, he scored over a goal a game playing for Enzo Maresca, so he scored an insane amount of goals for Maresca. He knows Cole Palmer. He'd be a Joe Shields signing like Lavia and Palmer. There's something, and I know he's not sexy, and everyone's like, why are we signing him to that? But there's, I'm not saying, I got really excited when we signed Cole Palmer, and I took a lot of stick for it. I'm not saying he's going to be Cole Palmer, but I do look at him and I think, actually, yeah, do you know what I mean? So tell me, it sounds like you generally agree. Is there any sort of changes? What do you think will happen? Just give me your thoughts on striker.
I'm a firm believer of like an exponential. I think if you sign Liam Delap, I think you buy a good striker, but I don't think he elevates everyone around him. I think he then needs again, like Jackson. Jackson
no aura.
needs,
no aura.
Yeah. But like I don't want to use that word.
Okay.
But you, but you need someone like an Osimhen who will come in and be like, look, I'm the flipping big dog here. Like Jackson, mate, you can get your minutes in the cups, but you know what? I'd like you on my left, please, sir. And Jackson will be like, yeah, no worries, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Osimhen would come in, command respect. Premier League defenders would actually fear him. Yes. And it would elevate everything that Chelsea is or right now isn't. So I think you have to go. You need to go premium with this one. Like you can't, and because we've done all of the, like for example, Dean Howson. I'm making a video about him today, and the more I research the kid, I'm like flipping heck, this guy's unreal. That's the kind of young kid that you go in and you get because he's actually ready and he's good now. Yeah. But if he was like, if I was watching videos of him in the under-18s being like, oh, wow, look how he plays the ball out from the back, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't want to see a striker that can, like, who scores goals against kids or in the Farmers League Cups. You know what I mean? Like, Osimhen, like you say, he's a Scudetto winner, African Player of the Year winner multiple times, and he's just got that, you said the word, aura. There you go. I'll say it.
He believes.
He does.
He feels Chelsea. He feels Chelsea. Like for me as well. Like the best thing you just said then about is opposition defenders like fearing him. For example, two strikers we had like in recent succession. Yeah, we had Diego Costa and say then Alvaro Morata afterwards. Yeah. And say like they were very close together in terms of times we had at Chelsea. The same defenders. Who are they worrying about staying up at night the night before that they've got to face the next day? It's not Morata. They think, fucking hell, I've got to play against Costa tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? The striker, but the Chelsea team at the moment, they might think, oh, they're kids, they can click, but no opposition defenders are struggling to sleep the night before because they're coming up against Chelsea. Even if we're scoring loads of goals, they just think, a bunch of kids, we can have them. But like you say, Osimhen, they think, bloody hell, it becomes a thing and a fear
Exactly.
factor.
And then you've got those brilliant players like Esteval or Palmer or just someone also to add on to that. Right now, if Palmer's not kicking, then we're not ticking. Do you know what I mean? But if we had a proper guy that like Van Dijk and Konate have to be on Osimhen. All right, no worries then. Well, that means they're not on Cole Palmer anymore, and he'll just bend the ball in the back of the net. And I think for me, it sounds ridiculous, but it's so flipping simple. And I think that's why I'm at the point I am at with the club, where I'm just like, no, you know what? Screw it. Get rid of them all. Because we could have seen this 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 1.5. Like, it's been so clear for so long. And if we do go and sign a Liam Delap, I think Liam Delap is a good striker. I'm not going to be like, shit signing.
Yeah, we'll be better for him. Yeah.
Yeah. We're a better club and a better team if he's in the squad. But, okay, if we're going to sell 12 players, 13 players, or whatever it is, we can't not sign a similar number, which I know that sounds ridiculous, but we do have, 5 or 6 coming that we've already got. So, technically, that becomes, 4 or 5 signings probably needed, which, again, it's another rebuild, but that's the reality. It is another rebuild. But, bring Delap in and a top striker. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, well, Jackson will be a little bit sad about that, but yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like, I'm sure you saw the Enzo Fernandez performance for Argentina. Like, he absolutely,
unreal.
He ripped Brazil apart, and Caicedo is probably our player of the season. So, the £100 million men are sort of coming good. Do you know what I mean? I am a massive fan of Fofana and obviously Reece James, and if we've solved their injury problems and they come good, I'm starting to think, do you know what I mean? And, touch wood, yeah. Esteval, it's so close to being.
It could be good,
really good. Do you know what I mean? So you get that striker, and look, I think I'm just one of these people that feel like we needed to throw the bag at a goalkeeper as well. I know, I don't think, no disrespect to Jorgensen, I think he is what he is, but I think Georgi Petrovic is good. I think he's really solid, and he's easily the best goalkeeper on our books. And I know Kepa's having a bit of renaissance or whatever.
No, don't let him back. No,
absolutely not. Do you know what I mean? But so Georgi Petrovic, I think he is like a placeholder. I don't think for a Chelsea goalkeeper. I don't even think Sanchez is a placeholder. I think he's just. No disrespect to the guy. I mean, bit of disrespect to the guy. But
he shouldn't be here. He was not invited to this party.
He shouldn't be here. Yeah. So if Georgi Petrovic is the starting goalkeeper next season, maybe they think, right, Petrovic is good enough to be the guy for now. But there's, like you say, there's this hype around Penders. Maybe they think Petrovic until we know about Penders, basically, because Penders is going to be 19, 20. Obviously, when goalkeepers are prodigies, like Gianluigi Donnarumma, he was starting for Milan 15 or 16. Do you know what I mean? Because he was that good. So maybe they look at Penders as a 20-year-old and they say, you know what, Petrovic first 6 months. By the time it goes to January, you're our starting goalkeeper. For the next
you know
10
how
years.
that look. You know how this all looks, right? It's either you go and throw the bag at the striker, or you half throw the bag at the striker and then half throw the other half of the bag on another possibly average goalkeeper. And we're in the same situation in 2026, having the same chat again.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm with you. So we'll say, let's sign Osimhen and let's keep Petrovic be right in goal for season.
I'm happy. I'm more than happy to see Petrovic in goal.
He's had an amazing season.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's been so good.
Him and Santos have been amazing.
And he's also leagues above Jorgensen and Sanchez.
Yeah, 100%. And we know that now. There's no excuses there. We've learned. You've looked at this freaking season. You've seen these man in goal. There's no excuse. Get rid. And Sanchez says, if I'm not number one, I'll leave.
Please, mate. I'll pay for your Uber, bruv. I'll get you whatever you want.
I don't want him to be my number 2, so it's music to my ears. So we're getting a big striker in, Georgi Petrovic. Santos comes back, Esteval comes, players back from injured, and Cole Palmer just remembering he's a footballer would be really, really good. And it could be, it could be an amazing. But I've been fooled before. Going, well, what an amazing squad, and then 6 months in, you're like, actually, it's not that good.
Yeah, I curb myself from doing it now, and people think I'm just a lot more negative, which is true based on what they see. But I also just can't be bothered to build the hype anymore and be kept being let down until like we said, I think the key for me is a top striker. I think elevates everything around it, and I think as a result of that, you would see huge improvements.
Yeah,
And
in a way, as we say, in a way, they've kind of almost like killed the fun of spending money on players.
yeah, like when Quenda got announced, I'm like, oh, this is great. 4 a.m. I'm actually awake for once. Like, I'm not going to be the last one to the party to talk about it. But I'm also like, yeah, but he ain't coming for another year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But not
what
even just,
are we
not
doing?
even just, not even just him. Like, I just actual players. Like, for different reasons. Sancho, Neto, Felix are exciting, dopamine hitting signings for different reasons. I know we've learned since, but in the summer, do you know what I mean? And like, breaking the transfer record twice on Fernandes and Caicedo, and mugging Liverpool off for Caicedo and Lavia. It's all very exciting, but like, you can't. Your season is the football. Is watching the football. I don't give a. We could like have a bunch of bums off the street if they win the Premier League. I don't sign any. It doesn't. It just doesn't matter. It's fun, but you can't just have that fun. Do you know what I mean? We need. We need trophies, ultimately, and that's probably a good place to end it. I think just saying we need.
Yeah,
trophies.
this was a great 20-minute episode. You're welcome, everybody. We did it. We nailed it.
He said he's got time. Right.
I do.
We've freaking covered it all, man. Thanks so much for. I mean, we do.
Thank you for having me on, as per usual.
Yeah, I mean, we chat all the time, but it's nice to chat on camera. George, of course, George Benson, football covering Chelsea. You're doing loads of content on your second channel at the moment, more GBFC.
Loving that. Yeah, it's been good fun.
It's nice. I've been doing some different diversifying, and it's refreshing. It's like a palate cleanser, isn't it? Like,
bro, honestly, I'm like, I get excited about just like talking about other teams and footballers, and like even talking about England doing 6 things we learned. I'm like, I can say something good about Harry Kane. It's so nice.
Do you feel like you get you're getting like that early stimulation you got with 6 things we learned on Chelsea? Because it's almost like you're doing it again. Like it's new. It must feel like new.
I just love starting new channels. But I've done it flipping so many times, and I just find it like fun to just be excited about making videos. Because I'll be honest, like, there's been moments this season where I'm like, I don't feel like making a video about Chelsea. I can't stand what we've become. I can't stand the way we're going. I don't like it. And I was just sat here like, what? Why am I just saying this shit over and over again? So I basically had to create more GBFC and be like, right, I'm posting on it now just to enjoy making content. And it's kind of allowed me to then be a bit more positive recently, where I'm like, okay, well, Reece James is playing really well right now. Let's make a video on him. Enzo Fernandez for Argentina, make a sick video about him now too, because like he's playing super well.
Isn't it? Because you'll get well-winded in your own content. I found the same. Like it offers you perspective. If another club's playing shit, you can like talk about them being shit, and it doesn't you don't carry it around like a weight. But it's a little reminder as well to the viewers that we're obviously very lucky to have these jobs. But when think about how miserable. If Chelsea, almost all Chelsea fans watching this, think about how miserable you are when things aren't going well and getting bad. Now think about having to just constantly talk about it and plan it and foment those thoughts, feelings, ideas in your head. It isn't always sunshine and rainbows, but we are due some good times, man. So let's hope they come in soon, guys. Go subscribe to more GBFC, his second channel that he's pumping loads of content on. Go check that out. I'll put a link in the description actually. So I'll remind saying that now.
Legend.
Because I never do that. So I'll send you an invoice, George, for that. Yeah.
Thank you,
mate.
Discount. Mates rates, long-term mates rate discount, 35% off for the month of March. International break discount.
Thailand prices. Right. Right. Before this,
I'll send you a mango.
Yeah, I was going to before this goes left. Thanks for coming on, mate. Yeah, peace.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye bye.